Okay, good evening. This is the February 1st, 2024 meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust. Trustees present online in Zoom is Nathan Hedberg. In the room is Paul Armstrong, Jen Olakanis, and Jean Landis Norman. This meeting is being recorded by PAC TV. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. Seeing none, we will move on. First order of business is the minutes of January 4th. I trust everyone's had an opportunity to take a look at them. Are there any corrections, additions?
No. Not for me.
All right, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, a second. Any other discussion? All right, I'll take a voice vote.
Nathan,
Nathan,
aye.
Oh, I.
Jen,
Jean, I, 4-0. Thank you. Okay, community engagement. Video with creative media. I double checked with everybody in the last couple of weeks to make sure that it was a go on the third video. And I will now correspond with PAC TV and tell them we're ready to accept it. And then we'll get it posted up on the town website. Normally, what I would do is then go before the Board of Selectmen and just announce that we've got the 3 videos. I'm not going out that much, so it'd be nice if somebody would volunteer to do that.
Can we read them weather?
We could. I usually do it in public announcements.
Either that or could the town administrator to make it part of his report.
He could. I could send
Yeah.
it to him and ask him if he would do that. Okay. Yes. Nice how you all sidestep that little.
Yeah, good thinking, Paul.
Yeah. Dance it as
That
fast as
is
I
it.
can.
So
Take it, none of you like the limelight. Huh?
a public announcement.
Yeah, so I'll ask the town administrator to include it in
Yeah,
his
he always,
report.
he likes information.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So that
The
should
chain of command.
finish out that contract, that project. As you recall, they were not going to charge us any additional money. We had given them half of them, but because of the delay of what, almost 3 years.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, they've waived the rest of the fee. They used a lot of material that they already had. As you recall, we provided them with a basic outline of what we wanted them to cover. They did it differently this time by using a voiceover, which I thought was pretty effective. And so I think it was a good final video, and let's just hope that there are some people out there who take the time to review them. I mean, each one of them is pretty short, so it's not a huge commitment for anyone to take a look, but I think they are educational, which was the intent of the videos. They talk about it in real terms of what it means to local people and why it's important that we have affordable housing in our housing inventory. Because not everybody can afford a mansion. And even a regular home nowadays goes for almost mansion prices. So it's, I haven't looked at the latest figures for Kingston. I know previous year, the average home sold for $620,000. I've got to believe that 2023 came just a little bit higher than that, even though the market's been fluctuating a bit. So I'm glad to get that one completed. Okay, the next one has to do with the ADU bylaw update, or it's not really a bylaw. What is it? A zoning
Oh,
zoning,
rewrite,
language, okay?
yeah, rewrite, upgrade.
So just to refresh your memory, the planning department decided that they wanted to put it out to hire someone to prepare language for changing the zoning on ADUs for town meeting. And there is some cost in doing that, and we were approached by the town planner to see if the Affordable Housing Trust could help fund that. I ran it by town council because I wanted to be sure we did not do anything improper. As you know, all of our funding does come from CPA money. So not only do we have the restrictions with our own bylaw, but also what restrictions there are on CPA money. So the response was that it would not be permissible. So I did convey that back to the town planner, saying that we would not be able to provide any funding for that. I'm not sure if they've awarded that contract. Hey, Amy, come on in. Come on in. We just kind of,
in the parking lot, so I'm like, oh.
we just got started. Amy and my husband.
Oh, yeah, well, hi,
Okay.
all right, I didn't even realize.
He's my
that was you
driver.
sitting here. Oh, right. Oh my gosh, how you
So,
doing?
Good, good. You know everybody. You know Nathan,
Yeah. yeah.
Jen.
Oh,
Paul.
Nathan, hi, Nathan.
Okay,
Hi, Amy.
great. Always good to have you join us, Amy.
Yeah, absolutely, I saw it was on the agenda, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you're on the email list for the agenda.
Yeah,
right?
I got it last week.
Okay.
And so I saw
All right.
our name here.
Okay, so we were just talking about the ADU update. Do you know if they fired someone to
Yeah,
do
I think
it?
they have a preliminary meeting in a couple of weeks.
Okay, all right. Any idea how much the contract was for? Okay. They had asked us if we could provide funding and ran it by town council because all of our money is CPA money. And town council determined that it wouldn't be an appropriate use of
Because there wasn't a specific mention of.
community
Affordable.
housing. It has to come under community housing. As you know, ADUs are not considered affordable housing because there's no deed restriction. You know, there's certainly, as we've said before, there's certainly an important part of having different types of housing available. And for some people, they would be more affordable than, but there's no restriction on how much the homeowner can charge. You know, they can charge whatever they want. So it could be affordable for some people, not for others, but it is, the bottom line is there's no deed restriction. So it doesn't count in the subsidized housing inventory and therefore.
Based on the definition of, interesting to see the definition.
Right, from the state.
Mm.
Yeah, so it doesn't meet the definition, so we had to decline any financial assistance to pay for the consultant, but I mean, there's been so many communities and states that have updated their language regarding ADUs.
Yeah.
That to me, it should be fairly simple, just taking some established language, tweaking it to fit Kingston. California recently updated theirs. I thought it was a pretty well-written product. I did send it to the town planner. Just as an information. I am anxious to see if they can get it ready for town meeting and get it passed. We've talked about some other communities that are not so favorable to ADUs, Weymouth being one of them. So theirs is extremely restricted to family members. There has to be a common living area, even though they have their own exit door, which isn't really what I think the main idea of an ADU is. It's a separate dwelling on the same property. Where's they going with this? Oh, there's also some bills at the state level. We've talked about this before, but again, they're very restricted. Either the homeowner or the individual in the ADU has to be aged or disabled. I did write to Susan Moran and to Representative Lenatra and said, why would we put these types of restrictions in place? Certainly, there's many other people who would appreciate being able to live in an ADU, or someone who has one on their property or has the ability to do so, you know, would like to take advantage of this. I don't understand why there have to be these restrictions. I do understand that the homeowner needs to live in one of the units. I think that's
rental,
important.
yeah.
Yeah, rather than making the entire property rentals. I think that's a safeguard for the community.
Yeah.
You know, and the neighbors. But I would be, I'm anxious to see what language they come up with, see how it's handled at town meeting. Because I think you've said there have been many inquiries from people who would like to do something like this, but because of our current zoning, it's very restricted.
Yeah.
Very restricted, so we haven't seen a lot of them.
I think in Falmouth, I think it was Falmouth, it was one of the Cape Towns, I understand that they're looking to change some of their language right now so that there is a timestamp on how they don't want it to become an Airbnb, right?
Yeah.
Like to try to stay away from these ADUs, just simply becoming
Right.
Airbnbs. So
Yeah.
some sort of requirement that it
It'd be
be
more
like
than
a
a
6
month or
months.
something.
Yeah, I had heard that
Yeah.
6
That ma-
months.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but rather than having it be, yeah. to
Yeah,
try to
more
control that.
more transient housing.
Right.
Than, you know,
You're,
But they didn't seal that deal yet, but it's what they're talking.
If you go to Town of Plymouth website to, the warrant, the draft warrant for this coming year,
Mhm.
I think it's Article 14, they have one
Okay,
that's pretty broad,
is it?
it's all by.
Was that the one you sent me?
I might have,
Yeah, I think you did. I'm sorry that. I'm
I don't know.
remembering it now.
but-
You said there was a little bit of language in there you weren't real thrilled with.
No, I said it was, like,
General or broad?
yeah. I thought, because it wasn't any special permit process, there was restrictions on size and restrictions
Mhm. But no special permit.
on, for instance, if you had a small lot, you still have to meet today's requirements as to percent lot coverage, and stuff like that, but it was fairly far reaching. Whether or not it'll pass the town meeting, I don't know, but it was pretty simple too.
Well, I think just like Kingston, many towns are getting built out. And there's still a need for additional housing. So how do you capture additional housing within
How do you
your
convince-
footprint? And
how do you con-
ADUs are,
I think the biggest question, how do you convince people that Kingston's so good, even if it wasn't like it was when you first moved in? Because
well,
everybody goes,
yeah.
I'm here and I don't want anybody else.
yeah. I mean, and
It's a
we're not
surprise.
unique. I
Huh?
think you find that in almost every community.
I
There's
know, and that's part
people
of the
who
problem. yeah.
have fond memories of how the community was, you know, either in their parents' time or their own growing up time. And, you know, it would be nice if everything would kind of stay the same, but I think the reality is we don't know. There's more people. This is a really attractive area to live in. So consequently, people are going to want to move here.
Oh,
I mean, I'm a Washer Shore.
Especially if
You've
you
been here,
raise kids and you
Yeah.
want your kids to stay.
right.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't have the capacity right now to rehouse college graduates.
Right.
You know, there's really very little out there for them.
Yeah.
Or even for a young married couple looking to start out here in Kingston, it's pretty limited as to what they can do. You know, and I know we try and hire people here in the town. Our salaries are probably a little less than you know, in private industry. And again, it's difficult to find someone who can work here and not have to drive a long distance. Same with all our service people, people
When we
who,
get to the
Work
point,
in
there's
restaurants.
no place you can drive to that you can find anything. Right?
yeah,
No matter how far you drive.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. But you know, people work in entry-level positions in Walmart and grocery stores and restaurants and have to live several miles away. So a lot of their time and money goes to transportation. You know, so I think the majority of people agree that there is a need for additional housing. the matter is what type of housing and where it's gonna go. Okay, so yeah, the Plymouth, yeah, you're right, there, you did remind me that there was an article, I think Article 14
I believe
for
so.
Plymouth, and when is their town meeting?
April.
April, okay, so that's why they already have some language. All right. You okay, Nathan?
Yeah, the
Okay.
only other thing I would say about ADUs is it really gives flexibility to land use. And it's something that can change as the need and the demand and the desire for it changes. You think about a piece of land managed over 100 or 200-year period, maybe an ADU gets built and then 50 years later it gets torn down and then 50 years later it gets rebuilt. So it gives the ability to sort of expand elastically with whatever needs to happen at that time.
Right, right, and I've seen some really cute tiny houses that I think would lend themselves to an ADU. You know, it's a very small footprint, but still has all the amenities. It looks very attractive. I think that's another concern, you know, what is it gonna look like? And of course, the off-street parking and all of that. I mean, there are legitimate concerns about how it's implemented, but I do think it's just another arsenal in our housing options for a variety of people. Okay, anything else on ADUs? I haven't heard back on what's happening at the state level. So I don't know where it's at. I don't even know if it's out of committee, what it is. Okay. Update from Habitat. Do you want to take that, Amy?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess, so Gina and I talked on the phone last week, I think it was, and we were talking kind of specifically about you know, the fact that how do we find some homes that, you know, we can partner with you all on, kind of bring our volunteer model into the equation to really keep costs down. But with because of the water and sewer moratoriums, really needing to look at existing structures that have hookups, you know, to get around the fact that we don't have the ability right now to build new houses in Kingston without being able to hook up for water or sewer for that matter. And then at the same time, having identified some properties that are clearly in disrepair and clearly need to be rehabbed and aren't being lived in, but they're all tied up with either family
Liens.
issues or legal issues.
Yeah.
And so, so I think, you know, so there aren't really any properties that we've identified that we can partner on, but I think if we can continue to think that if, you know, if there was some tax title property that had a home on it that was anywhere within reach for purchase through affordable housing trust funds, that, you know, Habitat could come into the equation with our construction model, really keeping costs down because of the volunteer building support that we get, as well as the discounted and donated materials. And, you know, that's how we suppress the number and turn around and are able to deliver an affordable home that is on the SHI and does have a deed restriction, and those types of things. So like, you know, over in Plymouth, we're able to use their community development block grant funds for scenarios like that. But it's that external source of money that can get us the acquisition, and then we take it from there. We have no hope without that. We cannot find property without an external source of funding for the acquisition. But that's, you know, that's kind of where I think we could, if affordable housing trust funds can help acquire, then we could, you know, kind of carry a bunch of it, a bunch of the rest of it along the way between people interested in working with Habitat and provide getting their, you know, tax exempt donations and discounts and all of that by working with a nonprofit.
Agree with me, Amy. When someone is identified as the new homeowner, do they have a mortgage to pay off?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it's a 30-year mortgage.
Okay.
It's just at the affordable rate. So, you know, and in the past, we have a 0% equivalent interest situation for all of our homeowners up till now, including the one that will move in at the home that we're we're working on right now. There might come a day, and I know other habitats are having, because of the banking and economic climate that we're in right now and have been recently, that, you know, they're charging low interest, but it's still well below market rate interest, right? So, and at the affordable price.
Mhm.
So we, you know, we work through only DHCD now, Executive Office of Housing and Living. Livable
Yeah, the
Communities,
new
HLC.
department.
So we, you know, we have a regulatory agreement with them that locks in both the sale price as well as the, you know, the deed restriction. And that's what is required too, like when we go to CPC in Plymouth, for instance, or any town, Carver, same thing. They require the deed restriction as well.
Okay,
Have you
So-
done- have you done rehab?
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
Okay, rehab on an existing.
Yeah,
So
and
what-
we're on the verge of acquiring another one. We ran into a
Okay, now just
title issue, but
simply, how do you get to the acquisition part? That's what you,
yeah, we're out there looking for properties that need
okay, and
rehab
then you're acquiring the property from a bank or what?
right off the market. In the case that we're in right now,
Okay,
it was a property that had been on the market for, I think it was over 100 days. In this case, it was this little cottage, down in Manamet.
Yeah.
It was, owned by a contractor it was gutted, it was down to its studs, and for whatever reason, he bailed on the property and decided to, instead of continuing to, you know,
okay,
do the work himself. He put it up on the market, sat there for over 100 days. We became aware of the CDBG funds as an option for buying. It was a partnership with Plymouth, absolutely. It all moved very quickly because, you know, that when you have those types of community development block grant, it has to be spent. You have to spend it down on your fiscal year. And what the town gets in the future fiscal year is based on what they
What they
spend.
spend, yeah.
And so it was a rapid fire, like, oh my gosh, this is available. We gotta find a property. Look, we have a property, and like, we gotta put, it all
who
moved
actually
very quickly.
purchased?
We did.
Who-
Oh, no, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that.
Who got the?
We had the title. Yeah.
You have the title?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it was done, so there was a sub-recipient agreement, the actual financing, the funds went straight from Town of Plymouth, Office of Community Development, to the purchase, and so that didn't go through our books.
so
But we
the town of
have,
Plymouth actually, they put up the money, but the
Mhm.
title came to you.
yeah, so we have a
Okay.
sub-recipient agreement with them that basically is, there's a mortgage on the property with the Town of Plymouth as well, such that when we deliver the unit with the recorded deed restriction, they'll release that mortgage. We won't owe them anything.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
legal issues.
So I was just wondering, you know,
Yeah,
say you pick
how
up
it
a piece of
works.
property for
Yeah.
200,000.
Yeah.
Okay, you pick it up for 200,000, you
Yeah.
got the money from the town, but you put the mortgage on it.
Yeah.
So the town can get their money back, and then you.
No, the
sell-
town doesn't get their money back in this case.
Okay, well, that was, because if you had to give money back.
No, no.
There's no spread of it.
No,
Yeah.
no, these are straight up, so community development block grant funds are also
That's
like,
just a grant.
that's a grant, and it has to be used for rehab. It can't be used for land. There has to
Okay.
be a structure on it that needs
Okay,
rehab.
Okay.
So there is was I talking to you about, it would be good to have a, cause I don't know the process that Plymouth went through to get CDBG funds.
Mhm.
Like there's clearly an application process or,
and then those
Pipeline.
funds came ultimately.
that's federal.
From the federal government,
Yeah,
okay.
so Plymouth goes through this process. I don't think it's based on the size of the town. See, these are the things that I don't know, like
That's
what
I was
makes you
wondering.
eligible to be able to go get those CDBG
Right.
funds. I know that Middleborough had them at one time. They don't now, but they're thinking about picking them back up again.
Okay, so the town of Plymouth.
Applies
applied
to
for
the
grant,
feds.
Yeah.
And the money runs into the town of Plymouth,
Yes, it's in their coffers.
and then it comes from the town of Plymouth to the Habitat.
Actually, it went straight
the
to
bond-
the
to the
purchase,
seller?
to the seller.
Yeah.
They funded, it was
Okay,
wired
so
to
you
the
had that-
attorney.
I was wondering, whether you had somebody, he already had a buyer, went straight to the seller.
It went
Yeah.
straight to the seller
Okay.
because we was bought up the market. So it was wired to our attorney.
Okay,
Never went through our books. He,
and he deeded it to
Right.
the Habitat.
Right. Or sorry, it went straight to the seller's attorney. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think so.
Straight to the,
It
the
never
money went
went-
straight to the seller, but the
Right.
title of the property went, he actually deeded to the habit.
Yeah, we own it. Yeah. Yeah, and it's recorded.
Nathan, you have any questions on that?
No, sounds interesting.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I think, the last conversation I had with the treasurer here. He asked if we had any properties that we would like him to begin work on for tax title. So I think the ball's in our court at this point as far as tax title properties. So we've looked at those lists before. It might be time to take another look at the tax title lists. The most current one is on the treasurer's webpage. And you've probably looked at it
Yeah, I was
recently
looking at it
too.
recently, yeah,
Yeah.
but not many structures, not many homes.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of it's just land.
Yeah,
And it's usually wetlands or little
Little.
slivers that aren't really big enough to do property.
Right.
But it would behoove us, I think, to take another look at the
Mm-hmm.
tax title properties, see if there's anything there. I'm not sure if he's done tax title on that one on River Road that we talked about,
mhm,
the
28, I think it is.
28 River Road. It's abandoned. It's in an estate.
They're paying the taxes.
That's part I don't remember if it's in tax title or
I
not.
think they're paying the taxes.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, the structure is just deteriorating by the moment. It's got wildlife and everything else in there. So it's,
I mean, we met Marcy at one of these prior meetings. I mean, we were again looking at a deteriorating property for the same reasons of
Mhm.
working with the CDBG model. She just went and knocked on a door, of someone,
Yeah.
like you, whether or not you can still, even if it's not in tax title, if there are homes around and about that are abandoned, if we can
Mhm.
figure out who they are.
Or what they own.
And what, or just if they want to unload it,
yeah,
just simply, do you want
Yeah.
to sell this thing?
yeah. I think I
And-
probably know a couple. You probably
I
know
know
the same
there was a
one.
house on,
School Street,
on,
across near the school.
yeah, what's the next street? Station Street.
Yeah.
And that was owned by Wells Fargo. And
Oh.
I'm trying to get them to even talk to. It's
Yeah,
Years
if
and
it's
years
owned,
and years and years.
yeah, if
They
it's-
keep it up, but they never even took title to it. But they had a lien on it. They had a
Mhm.
mortgage. So
Mhm.
sometimes they can get involved if the lending institution doesn't want to take the hit on a particular year. Or at a particular time, they'll just hang around out there for years till they want to take the loss. But you never know once you find out.
Anybody else on that?
So just bottom line is just know that we're open to, if
Yeah,
we can find the path, we're open to partnering for
Yeah.
sure. It's a
Yeah.
struggle.
Yeah, and let me find out a little bit about these federal grants. I think Plymouth has. What department did Leanne work in? They
It's
have,
the Office of Community Development.
yeah.
They're the
so-
ones that oversee
So
this.
they have an office of community development, which we do not.
Yeah,
and there's a question when it became, let's say, to your attention that there was this property that had been on the market.
Yep.
Did the town of Plymouth already have funds available, or did they apply for funds?
Oh, they
no,
must
no,
have had
they
them.
have, they
Okay,
have to apply, they're on a schedule to apply and so
Mhm.
forth.
Okay, so they can apply without having a specific destination.
Oh,
for
they
the
apply
funds
for a
that they have.
pool of money, a
Okay.
bigger pool of money, right?
Mhm.
And it's based on, because it's not just other eligible uses, they use it for homeowner assistance too. It has to be low income.
Mhm.
But, if it's critical repair or
Okay, so
not
they-
necessarily fuel assistance, but
I just wondered if you had to have someplace up front, but you're saying that they have a program of what they use the money for. And they can apply
yeah,
for
the federal
money,
government doesn't.
and they say, okay, you can have it, even though you don't have an earmark for anything.
the
Earmark it
agreement,
for
You
for types,
probably
but not
have
for
to have it-
specific projects.
correct.
Right,
they
but you
earmark
probably have to have
funds.
a general statement of what it is you're planning on doing with it.
Yeah, but not address specific, 'cause she
Right.
doesn't know. I mean, she, you know, she doesn't know how many homeowners are gonna come to her over the
Sure.
course,
Yeah,
and so that's
I mean,
why.
That's good, I just was curious. if
Yeah.
the- You know, because there's a.
You know, and you know, if we had access to funds like that, it would give us a whole lot of leeway. I mean, right now, we really have to go with CPC rules because that's our only source of funding. So something like that would be really helpful. But I don't know how we would go about applying. I'm not sure if Affordable Housing Trust could apply or if it probably has to be the
The
town.
municipality, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it would have to
so
be. the
that
municipality.
might be a conversation to have with our town planner.
Yeah.
And then who would administer it? Because, I mean,
Yeah.
her name is Peggy Whalen, she's awesome. And this isn't the only thing she does. She's the director of the Office of Community Development, but, which involves other things too,
Mhm.
but, you know, she has to do reporting
Mhm.
and so forth. And she has to do, basically, she calls it a workout plan, basically how she's gonna spend down these funds.
Yeah,
and-
I wonder if the town, Kingston would be open to some sort of municipal agreement to work with their,
I don't know if you could, you mean to be like a subset of them?
yeah.
Nope.
You know?
See, this is where the county would come into play,
Yeah.
right? If the county wanted to take some of that on, I don't even know if that's possible, but
Yeah,
when
no,
you think about what is the
They're
What's
always
the purpose
doing
of
something.
county government, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, you're right.
that could be a purpose, because if there are other communities, you know, that don't have the same bandwidth
Yeah.
administratively,
Right.
you know? I don't
No.
know.
I mean,
Maybe,
who would
maybe
be-
that's,
who
maybe
would be-
that's Tom O'Brien
Well,
question.
that's what I'm thinking, you know, maybe you and I could sit down, Tom,
Yeah.
and just have a discussion about
Yeah.
the needs here. We'd have to do some homework. Obviously, I don't want to waste his time without having specifics, but yeah. I mean, we both know Tom.
Yeah.
So it would be, I think, a friendly conversation. He might tell us, no, they have no interest or they don't have the staff. I don't know, but I think it's worth
You know, and we could also set
discussion.
up, maybe you and I, or anyone, if we could set up a time with Peggy too, and just go over there and sit in her office and ask, what is the process for? Like, how hard is it? How complex is it? Like,
Yeah.
what are the criteria? Is it based on the size of the town? I don't know.
Mhm.
Like I said, I know Middleborough had it at one point. Middleborough is a larger town than we are here in Kingston, so if there was some sort of population threshold that made you eligible, I don't know,
Yeah,
you know,
that's good questions.
but maybe we could start. Because that way, I think that would inform a conversation with Tom.
You're right. Yeah, that would probably be the first
Mhm.
step.
I want to find out how her, is the job, does she get paid funded through the town of Plymouth?
Mhm.
Does the money for her salary come through the grant stuff, or is it just?
Could be a combo.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It could be.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
If some of that money that comes in helps
Yeah.
fund that particular department. then
Yeah,
might-
and you know her.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Talk to
You
her
may not, but
regularly.
if you get a consortium of several towns working through the town, you know, each paying a little bit, you know.
Yeah, which is what we had tried to
You could-
do as far as having a housing coordinator, is
Yeah.
work with some other towns, because
Yeah.
first of all, we couldn't afford one. Second of all, we don't need a
Yeah.
full-time person.
Right.
And there's many municipalities that probably in the same or similar circumstances, so that was our original plan, was to try and work with other communities. We had that conversation with Duxbury, we had that conversation with Marshfield. It just didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, obviously Plymouth already has them.
I think
Yeah,
if
they're
you could
set
do-
up.
if you could do something on a county-wide basis, that would, even just several towns around, but.
Okay.
the-
All right, so we have some homework to do. We
Yeah.
need to
Set up a
meet with
meeting.
her. We need to maybe get some more information from other towns. Is there any interest? And then you know, have a conversation with Tom O'Brien.
Yeah.
And see if it's something that we could talk to the commissioners about.
Yeah, if the model even allows for
Right. Well, I
a
mean,
county
they
versus a
got
town.
ARPA funds,
They did get
you know,
ARPA
at a
funds.
county level, so.
Yep.
You know, I need to do some research on the CDB grants too,
Yeah.
and see
Yeah.
what the restrictions are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we have some work to do. All right.
Okay.
Excellent.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Always
your
very
evening.
informative.
Okay.
I don't mean to add to your
It's always
homework
nice to
pile,
talk to
though.
And now I leave with homework.
I didn't mean to do that.
No, that's how we get it done.
It's always nice to talk to somebody that's getting things done, right?
I know.
I didn't get things done.
Nathan, did you have any questions before Amy leaves?
No, thanks.
Okay. All
Good to see
right.
you, Nathan.
Yep, you too.
Everybody. be
All right.
warm.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for stopping by. Okay. All right. So some other miscellaneous stuff. I promised Art we wouldn't be here all day. Cause we haven't had dinner yet. Okay, so I did send to you the copy of the certificate of deposit to show where our money is and for how long and the interest rate and all of that. So, I just always like to confirm that what I've been told. Actually, and I think it's good for us to have this in our portfolio, so we know exactly what where our money is. The CPC, Nathan, my
Mhm.
understanding that in March is when CPC will start in on discussing individual applications and making decisions.
Yeah, the discussions have already been mostly handled. March 7 is the vote on which proposals to put forward to town meeting.
Okay, in your estimation, how does it look for our application?
I don't see any challenge. I think
Okay.
it'll be approved.
There's no other
and
applications for this money?
correct.
Okay, all right. I will still try and attend probably via Zoom. Just to be
Okay.
sure if there's any hiccups or questions or anything.
Yeah, I think it is a positive look to be present.
Right.
But yeah, I don't expect any problems. I think everybody's pretty supportive. It's always the same comment of, why hasn't any money
We've
been
given you
spent yet?
so much money, why haven't you spent it?
I know. So I said, give us more, see what happens.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we have 800,000 and I'll buy one house and there we are.
Or
Not-
half a house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a big step forward in, 248 units, so, yeah, I know it's a very different concept from the normal grants that the CPC deals with. There,
Yep.
it's the 1 or 2 year time frame and, stated objective and so this is very different. It's a little hard for
Mhm.
people to get their heads wrapped around it.
Yep.
Okay.
And I may have mentioned it before, but I think we want to actually advocate for the CPC to potentially drive a housing project itself. Because that's one of the things that the state would love to see.
Yeah, do you see any initiative there for that?
There's some support. I think there's
Is there
discussion.
initiative?
No initiative at the moment.
Okay, okay. I mean, that would be great, to partner that way to
Yeah.
see what to do. I think the more people interested in pursuing affordable housing, the better chance we have of getting something done. All right, I haven't heard anything else from Mark Koenig. He was the real estate agent for the property on Circuit Street. Is that it?
Oh, I don't.
Off of Smith's
Yeah.
Lane. Is that Circuit? Yeah, so I haven't heard anything from him.
He's been in a couple times, but nothing specific.
Okay, so no action at this point. Okay,
Crescent Street.
Crescent, sorry, yeah, I knew it started, let's see.
Yeah, what I see in it.
Yeah, what Amy didn't say, she had sent me an email, and excuse me if I'm repeating this, but they did make contact with a family member of the Smiths Lane estate, and he was pleasant. When she said she was from Habitat, but when she asked about whether the house was for sale. He hung up on her. The Maple Avenue property is very complicated with the HUD second mortgage. So I think both of those are probably off our radar at the moment.
Sounds.
We did have a visit from Mr. Nutella. And I did get a follow-up email from Angela, his spouse. You know, I think they're looking for us to come up with some property for them to develop. But as Amy pointed out, with the water and sewer moratoriums, you know, to me, it's futile to take any action on this right now. We would just be spinning our wheels. So I will just keep that on the back burner for now as to what they're doing there. I did send you this Washington Post article. Chevy Chase is proposing a project that includes a new library with housing. Now, I don't know, on the surface, that doesn't sound like a terrible idea. But I guess some in the community think it's the worst idea they've ever heard.
Yeah.
I thought what we were talking about, we, the collective we, in the recent years, was how can we put housing and amenities closer so that people don't have to drive everywhere. And that was the whole point of the 40R, was that you're going to have all this housing, you're going to have shops, you're going to have services. Nobody should have to leave the neighborhood for basic things unless they want to. So either these people didn't get the memo, or it's just another not in our backyard. We just don't want to change, you know. But I thought, wow, that would be neat. Have a library.
Right there.
Yeah, right there, you know. As we know, libraries have become far more than libraries. There are many community centers offering all sorts of classes and meetings, and you know, we have our library of things, we have our seed library, we have technical stuff for the teenagers, computer training. There's just so much that libraries now offer in addition to books that to have access, you know, right down the street or down the hallway to libraries. To me, sounds like an awfully good idea. Apparently, not everybody sees it the same way. All right. Do we have anything else? Nathan, did you have anything you wanted to talk about tonight?
No, nothing for today.
Okay, do you have anything for our next meeting that you'd like to talk about? I did not work on the brochure. I do need to work on that. I know, Nathan, you said that you had put updated data in the CPC plan.
Yeah,
Okay, so I need to sit down and take a look at that. I have to admit, the last 3 weeks have not been very productive. I have been unable to focus. So I'm hoping that improves now that I'm a little further away from all the anesthesia and everything. So I will try to have a draft of that sent out for you to look at, and maybe we
Somebody
can.
gonna grade you on your work?
I hope not.
Well,
I hope not, but I will try and have that draft out to you so that we can discuss it and maybe vote on it at the next meeting. Okay,
Cool.
just get an updated brochure out there on the street. Okay. I will work with Amy, and if anybody else wants to sit in on a discussion with Peggy Whalen in Plymouth, let me know and see if we can't coordinate that discussion. And then hopefully we can move on and maybe have a conversation with Tom O'Brien, who is the treasurer for the county. And since he's the money guy, probably would do well to speak with him first, see if there's any interest there. And then if he's comfortable, we might be able to go before the commissioners and see if it's something that they would be interested in doing. Any final thoughts on that?
I think, you seem to always be looking for market share.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe that's how we do accomplish more without having staff.
Yeah.
Here, and without the town having the resources that Plymouth obviously has for that sort of thing. Okay, is there anything else we want on the agenda for next month?
Looking at the tax title list again.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, if everybody can take a look at that beforehand,
It's right on the treasurer's.
yeah, and see if you can identify any properties that have buildings, existing houses on them.
Sure.
And then if you know of any others around the community that are obviously in disrepair, that the owners might be interested in someone taking it over for them. Okay, nothing else. Our next meeting would be March 7th. Because we have a leap year this year.
I know. Huh?
Right, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
There you go.
I second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Nathan,
Nathan, I.
All I.
Jen Hall.
G and I. Thank you very much. It is 5:47.